Hello. How are you guys going? I hope the morning is starting well. Talk to me. Talk to me. We're going to be talking about imposter syndrome in this episode, so I'm pretty pumped to get this underway. It's going to be a really short episode, I think. Totally unscripted and straight from the heart in terms of what I think is important regarding this. So let's get talking. We're going to start this episode in 2 minutes, guys. So if you're watching in live, make sure you get into the comments and let me know. We're going to be kicking this off in 2 minutes. Hello, Toddy. How are you, legend? Good morning, brother. I hope you had a good start to the morning, my man. So what is going on? Sun is shining in Oz or what? Talk to me, Wazzy. You're out for a stomp, mate, or what? It looks like it's beautiful back home, and I'm getting super, super jealous. But just over a month, we'll be back. Can't wait. Super excited to catch up with all you crew. All right, who we got in here? So Toddy's in here in the house. How are you, my broseph? We got Gina. Hey, Gina, it's good to see you in here as well. I like that. Awesome start to the day, Toddy says. Yeah, beautiful, man. Lucky bugger. Zachy Denman. You know, this is for you, mate. I'm serving you like a bastard this week, Zachy. Guys, we're going to get started in a minute. If anyone's coming in a little bit late, all good, make sure that you say hi in the comments and hashtag replay if you do indeed watch this one a little bit later on today. As you can see, guys, when I'm back in my home seat, the hot seat, I can really get stuck into a bunch of podcasts, and I fucking love doing these. They're really what is most passionate about. So, hey, Pammy, how are you, girl? Trent Barnett, what's going on, brother? You're getting so consistent, Trent. It's ridiculous. I think you're starting to challenge Big Tezza for the crown, mate. And good morning, Tez. I hope you're well, pal. Who else we got? Zachy Denman wouldn't have it any other way, brother. Yeah, totally, dude. Totally. All right, I'm going to bring in the anyone that's watching on Instagram, and I think we are then good to roll. So, as it always is, guys, if you've got any questions that you want to ask along the way, or some commentary that you want to add. Good morning, Clarky. How are you, bro? Good to see you in here. If you want to add anything, just feel free. Good morning, Ash. Pop it in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to kind of answer those questions as we go and help facilitate the discussion. So let's get stuck into it. On the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come when you're sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. Now, in today's episode, I'm doing a fairly brief repeat, I guess, or follow on from yesterday's conversation. So if you didn't catch the episode, yesterday we had a conversation around self-doubt, the plaguing feeling of self-doubt, waking up in the morning and feeling like, oh my gosh, it's just like I feel like I'm in a hole. I feel like I'm struggling to get moving. And we talked about why that happens and really what to do about it. So in part of the episode, I received a number of direct messages from clients inside Better Body Academy asking around this specific part about imposter syndrome. So to those of you that haven't yet listened or watched the episode, what I said was that when I came back from being overseas for a period of time, I was away for a month, and I felt that sense of like, I don't know, like I'd lost muscle and I didn't feel strong, and it was almost like I was back at day one in the gym again, okay? And I'm walking into the gym and I'm feeling like an imposter. Do you guys ever get that? So whether you're turning up to your workplace or you're in your relationship and you've got this sense that almost like you don't deserve your partner for all that they do for you. So you feel like an imposter, right? And what that does is creates like this separation, and you constantly feel like you're not good enough. Now, there's a bunch of people watching in live. I want you to let me know in the comments whether you ever get this. You feel like you're not good enough. You're not strong enough. You're not brave enough. You're not courageous enough. You're not good enough. You're not making enough money. You haven't lost enough weight. Whatever it is for you, Okay, there can be any vast majority of things. And what that does is impacts the way that you actually go about your life. So for me, first day back into the gym, I've gone in, I feel like, hang on, I'm a coach, right? I've been training since I was 10 years old. I should be confident, but I don't feel confident. I should be strong, but I feel like I've lost strength. I feel like I should be owning this place, but I'm not owning it. And so where there is that kind of separation between how I should be and how I actually feel, that's where the imposter syndrome actually comes in. And I think it's something that plagues a lot of people. So I want to just do a quick episode today to explain how that happens when it comes to specifically transformation and fat loss. And secondly, maybe some simple tips on what to do about it. Okay? Gina says, I'm actually feeling like I'm faking it till I'm making it. Yep, and totally agree. And Nico says, 100% in the last week. And Nico, you're going to go through this as well. Everyone knows that Nico is the BBA squat king, right? And what's going to happen is after a month of being sick and being off the gym, Nico's going to go back in there and he's not going to feel as strong as he did when he left. He's not going to feel like the competition athlete that all of you guys see. And that's going to create a little bit of imposter syndrome. So specific to your transformation, let's talk about why this happens. Now, I'm going to talk because I think it's beneficial that we talk about openly about this. So Zach obviously messaged me again and said, what you were talking about, imposter syndrome, Jess, I really feel that coming through, okay? And what I explained to him is that when you go into a physical transformation, predominantly most of us here in Better Body Academy are wanting to achieve a couple of things. We're wanting to achieve losing some body fat, right, which is weighing us down, making us feel tired, taking away from our confidence. And the other thing maybe is building some muscle and some strength, right? So that's what we want to do. So I want you to think of yourself as like a turtle, okay? It's a bit weird, but you're a turtle and you live in a shell that you've lived in for your entire life until now. Yep. That's kind of what is going on, right? You are a human body, a spirit, a mind, or whatever you want to call it, and you've lived in this shell that you're in, right? And that shell we call our body. And then we come into Better Body Academy or we come into whatever transformation program we're in and we start to change the shell. Maybe we shrink our shell down from what used to be a shell that was too big for us and all of a sudden the shell's come down to size, right? We are still the same turtle. We're just being carried around in a different shell. Maybe that shell means that you're 20 kilos less, in Zach's case. But inside, the head poking out is still the same turtle. And so what happens is, after a period of time, it starts to feel like, wait a second, I'm the same person, the same identity, I've just got a new shell. Does this make sense? I'm trying to use a very simple analogy. So if we lose a bunch of weight, let's face it, fat loss is actually pretty simple as a concept. You can just not eat much and you will lose weight. But who are you? Are you your weight? Or are you what lives between your two ears? Of course, you're not your weight. So when you lose the weight, but you remain the same between the two ears, do you think there's going to be some fragmentation between who you think you are and who you have been for a period of time until who you now are? Think about it. It makes complete sense. We've got a guy who has lost 20 kilograms or a girl that's lost 20 kilograms. They've got a completely new body, but the mind doesn't change that quickly. And the reason the mind doesn't change that quickly is because here is the process of fat loss. We've got some fatty tissue, and what happens is we get into calorie deficit, the fat breaks down, and we breathe that fat out as basically carbon dioxide and water. That's what happens. And the fat's gone, right? But how do we overhaul our brain, our mind? What we're actually talking about here is our nerve cells. You can't just open up the top of your head and go in and start twinkling with the nerve cells and expect that overnight they're going to change. It doesn't work like that. It takes time. The concept of neuroplasticity, which basically means overhauling your mindset, the brain that changes itself. To actually do that, it takes time. And so the reason that we feel this imposter syndrome is because our brain hasn't changed, our mind hasn't necessarily changed, but our body has. So we feel like the turtle that's found a new shell. We're a little fragmented. Our body has progressed, but maybe our mind hasn't. Guys, if you're watching this and you haven't been part of the mastermind, this is why we created the Better Body Academy Mastermind. It was because of the fact that we just knew that someone losing 20 kilograms, that's a physical result, but what determines whether or not someone maintains weight loss in the long term is whether they change their mindset, because anyone can restrict for a short period of time. Changing your mindset can take months, years, decades. And this is why people who invest in the long term, this is why people who continually work on themselves always are the ones that prevail long term. There will be a bunch of people that will come into our program and then they will lose weight, and 6 months later, they'll have put the weight back on again, but they'll be too nervous or feel like a failure to ask for help and to come back in again. The reason is that they lost the weight, but they didn't lose the shitty mindset that they had, the mindset that they operated by for all of their life. Does this make sense, guys? So what I want to do is just give really 5 simple tips on how you go about dealing with your imposter syndrome if this is something that you suffer. And these aren't rocket science tips. Number 1, I think it's important to understand that everyone suffers from this. Okay? This is not a thing where you're on your own. Everyone suffers from this. Everyone suffers from being in a room at times and feeling like they are out of place. Whether they are truthfully out of place or not is a different story, and we can talk about that in a minute. But we're always going to be, humans aren't the same, so we're going to be mingling in different company, and sometimes when we're outside of our comfort zone, we're going to feel out of place. We're going to feel like an imposter. So I think, and Nick says, yeah, the ebb and flow of life. So just understand, guys, that everyone experiences it, because when you're suffering something and you feel like you're the only person in the world suffering that, what does that do? That heightens the experience, right? It makes you feel even more stupider. If you found out that 1 million people in your circle were also suffering from imposter syndrome, you'd be kind of like, oh, okay. This is one of the reasons why Better Body Academy is great, because you come into the academy and all of the struggles that you've had for so long, you realize that the vast majority of people are struggling with the same thing. Your individual challenge is the same as everyone else's, right? So the first thing is to be mindful that everyone suffers it. Number 2 is to hose down your sufferings, your self-limiting beliefs, the imposter syndrome thoughts that you feel, hose them down with facts. Let me explain what I mean by this. Zach sent me a voicemail yesterday, a voice note, and he said to me, I felt this hell of a lot of imposter syndrome around, I felt like the weight loss come really easy to me. And yet there's boys in the group, maybe a lot of the older fellas, that are working really hard and they're grinding to try to get the result. But for me, it just kind of fell off. That was the source of his imposter syndrome. He felt like he didn't deserve it. Everyone else is working hard for the result. I wasn't working hard. Now, prior to this podcast, Zach hosed down his own imposter syndrome with some fact. He said to me, but then Jace, I stepped back and I realized I did do the work, actually. I was the one that was following the meal plan. I was the one that was tracking my nutrition. I was the one that hasn't missed a check-in since day one. I was the person that was going to the gym. I was the person that was hitting my 10,000 steps. Yes, this is exactly what I mean. Hosing down the doubt with facts. If you're starting to doubt yourself, Gina, Nico, Ash, Pete, if you're starting to doubt yourself, step back and watch. Have a look at your thoughts. And what you'll see is whatever success that you've achieved in life is because you've done the work. Whatever success that you haven't yet achieved is because you haven't yet done the work. So if you're feeling like an imposter, as in the results that you're getting aren't deserved, and I see this all the time with men. Men are feeling like they work hard to get their relationship in a good place, but then what they do is there's some part of them that feels that they don't deserve their partner. Right? You can let me know if you feel like this. They don't deserve their partner. My partner's too good for me. Why the fuck is she with me? Or why is he with me? And so what they'll do is subconsciously pick a fight or an argument just to prove that they don't deserve their partner. It sounds fucking backwards, but this is what's going on. We act according to our thoughts. Does this make sense? So number 2 is to hose down the doubt with the facts of the work that you've actually done. Number 3, I don't think I think a lot of us talk a lot about how we view failure. Oh, failure is just, another way to learn. And how many of us actually have that attitude? Because I don't think we do. I think everyone's really good at spitting quotes about failure, but fucking very few people actually follow the advice that they spit. They take a motivational post off Google or Pinterest or Instagram and they repost it and they say, oh, failure is just a bunch of lessons. And then they fucking go into their own life, and the moment they fail, they feel so sorry for themselves and give up. Guys, wake the fuck up, right? If you're failing at something, it's just because you're not good enough yet. And that's okay. It still hurts. Absolutely, it still hurts. Why is it that we allow ourselves to fail at the gym? Why is it we allow ourselves to be courageous when we're at the gym, right? So we go under a bench press or a squat rack and we lift too much and we put it down and all our mates pat us on the back and say, good job, you pushed yourself, you tried really hard. But then when we do that in life, when we fail mentally, all of a sudden, we're stupid, we're useless. We might as well give up. It's crazy. Why is it that the gym is the only place where we are actually socially allowed to fail and everyone gives us a pat on the back? Think about it. You guys see Nico. Nico jumps in a squat rack. He goes over here. He tries to squat 300 kilograms, right? He can't do it. He has to unrack quickly and everyone goes, yes, Nico, well done for trying. But then Nico goes and fails somewhere else in life and then thinks that, as opposed to pats on the back, he's going to get judged. He's going to get rejected. It's crazy. We need to relook at how we view failure in our own lives. There are plenty of things right now that I am failing at fucking miserably. Miserably. I'll tell you what, let's get real honest. You want to know where I'm failing at right now? I'm failing at being the best dad that I can be. You want to know why I'm failing at being the best dad that I can be? Because I'm trying to learn to not be reactive to my kids when they're doing what kids do. They're whinging about nothing, yet here is me that coaches men and women on stop reacting fucking reacting. This causes imposter syndrome in me, right? Because I feel like I'm telling people to stop reacting and then I'm reacting. That's the source of the imposter syndrome. So I start to say to myself, oh, I'm not a good dad. I'm not. No, stop. I'm failing at the moment as a dad because guess what? I only learned to be a dad for the first time 2 years ago. So I'm trying to learn the process. Okay? And guess what? The imposter thought, I'm not a good dad, I'm gonna hose down with the facts. I'm a fucking great dad. I work my ass off for my kids. I give them everything they need. Ocean's been to 13 different countries by 2 years old because we want to show her the world. Yeah, I could just keep going, but the facts are, right? If I get lost in the imposter mindset and end up down a rabbit hole, all of a sudden, that's where I'm going to end up. Does this make sense? Okay. Number 4, as we move through this, you're going to set and review your goals regularly. Okay? So I think it's really important, and we're just going to hit this one quickly. I think it's really important to remind yourself why you're doing the thing, right? If you're disconnected from the process and the moment you feel some sense of failure, you're dropping off, maybe it's because your goals that you originally had maybe aren't as relevant as they once were. It's a pretty simple idea. Go back to your goals. Maybe losing 20 kilograms right now isn't the most important part of your health transformation, potentially. Okay? The final one, and this is one that I really want to focus on and hit this hard. If you are feeling imposter syndrome, and now that you know that everyone suffers it, including your coach, everyone suffers it, and now that you know that you need to relook at failure and how you're viewing failure, and now that you know that one good technique is to hose down the self-doubting thoughts with facts, which prove that you're not who you think you have become, once you know those things, do as Zach has done. The great thing about Zach is he's honest. This guy's 27 years old, right? Most 27-year-old guys, I certainly had my head up my ass at that age. No maturity that Zach had. And guess what? Zach put his hand up and he said, I'm suffering with this, coach. Can we talk it out? That's why you're in a program and a community. I'm going to say this till I'm black and blue, right? One-on-one coaching fucking sucks. It sucks. Because what you get is a small amount of time from one person. It sucks. When you come into a program like this, you get permanent amounts of time with as many people as you choose to engage with. And so therefore, if you're open and honest about your struggles, you're going to build community around you that's going to support you through your troubles. Hint, if you're sitting and drinking in your house, hint, hint, if you are sitting and drinking in your house by yourself, trying to solve the problems from inside of the bottle, you will never, because you can't create a new mindset with the mindset that created the problems in the first place. You have to open up. You have to be vulnerable. You have to stop thinking that people are judging you. You know what? People judge the person far more that feels sorry for themselves and will do nothing to change. They hang on to their pain and their victimhood so tightly instead of opening up and asking for help. This is how we grow. If you're in our community, this is how we grow. We open up and we ask for help. Guys, I'm going to hit these 5 things. When it comes to imposter syndrome, what's happening here is there's a gap between your physical, often when it comes to your physical transformation, there's a gap between the weight that you've lost, the strength that you're feeling, and the fact that your mindset hasn't quite, it's behind. It hasn't changed to the same pace that your body has. So what do you need to do? Well, you need to play the long game. You need to understand that people who are around you are suffering from the same thing. You need to be open about it. You need to relook at your goals and how you view failure. And then finally, just step back and hose down the doubt that you feel with some logic, with some fact. What are you achieving that is a result of the things that you've done, which is evidence? This is why we love the idea of you posting into the Facebook group when you're part of our academy. Because when you post into the Facebook group daily, imagine you're feeling a sense of self-doubt because you had a couple of weeks off training, and then all of a sudden you were feeling a weak moment, but then you were able to go back in to our program, go into the Facebook group, search your name, which you should do frequently. Search your name, and you will see 30 days of evidence, boom, proving who you are. This is you that did the work. 30 days of evidence laid out in front of you. Julie turned up to the gym today. Julie turned up to the gym this day. Julie turned up to the gym this day. Julie did her 10,000 steps. Julie tracked her meal plan because here's the screenshot. When you can go back and the proof and the evidence is there, instantly it busts the self-doubt until the next time that you feel the self-doubt and the imposter syndrome coming up, and you need to repeat that process. And if you do that enough times over and over again, eventually you'll condition yourself out of being stuck and into a new mindset, one that is growth orientated and one that is powered. And you know what? This is why you've got to stay in the academy beyond the initial term that you sign up for. You have to play the long game, because you might lose 20 kilograms and you might think, 20 kilograms, cool, I'm good. Except for the fact that unless you've got a reverse diet plan, and unless you've got a plan for changing your mindset long term, you're going to end up back in the same spot in 2 or 3 years' time. Does this make sense, guys? All I want for our members is just for you guys to just feel, somehow get what's in my head into your head. And the more I come into these podcasts and try to transfer this energy and this know-how, the more it's going to filter through our group and it catches on. So guys, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully this has been beneficial. To Mr. Zach Denman, I want to reach out to you, brother, and say, I love you. You're a tremendous human. Guys, this has been the Better Body Academy podcast, coming to you across all the platforms. This is the podcast that you come to when you're sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. And of course, I'm here when you need me. Shoot me a message.